So, The Running Man is the latest film directed by Edgar Wright in which we follow a character named Ben Richards who's portrayed by Glenn Powell, a man who is doing everything he can to save his sick daughter. Desperate for money, Ben Richards decides to enter a game show called The Running Man where he must survive for 30 days. And before I continue on with today's video, let's also start our conversation below. Are y'all looking forward to The Running Man? What's your favorite Edgar Wright film? Let me know below. Alright everybody, let's get into The Running Man.
Excellent!
In case if you all didn't know this about me already, I am a massive Edgar Wright fan. So when I heard that Edgar was going to be making an adaptation of a Stephen King novel, yeah, I'm gonna be infinitely excited about that, and this has been really a great year for Stephen King adaptations. I never thought in a million years I'd be seeing a Stephen King film directed by Edgar Wright, and I am happy to say that The Running Man is a damn good time at the theaters. Now, before I continue on and say anything else, I need to address this. I have not read the original book, nor have I seen the original Arnold Schwarzenegger film, so I went into this movie as cold and as blind as humanly possible because I wanted to experience this movie really without comparing and contrasting both this film and the Arnold Schwarzenegger film. So if you're expecting me to compare both things from both movies, that's not gonna happen here because I wanted to walk into this movie just as really as an Edgar Wright movie, and that's exactly what I did. All of the performances in this movie are great. Whether you're talking about Glenn Powell, Josh Brolin, Coleman Domingo, Michael Cera, amongst a couple of other people. Coleman Domingo, I thought did a great job as the charismatic host of the show, and once again, I cannot contrast and compare him to Richard Dawson's performance in the Arnold Schwarzenegger film, but here's what I can say. Coleman Domingo, every time I thought he was on that screen, stole every single scene. Michael Cera absolutely owned his screen time in this movie, and his sequences had me laughing. And I just want to say, it was just great to see Michael Cera in an Edgar Wright directed film. And Josh Brolin, I thought, did a great job as the producer that's doing everything he can to manipulate how the world is seeing how not only the contestants are doing, but particularly how Ben Richards' character is doing. And there is a great scene in this movie where, I mean, obviously he is going along with what Ben Richards is doing in this movie, but man, what a great year for Josh Brolin. Seriously, the man is killing it this year. There are two main stars of this movie, one of which being Glenn Powell, who portrays Ben Richards. Glenn Powell is absolutely magnetic in this movie. Where Top Gun Maverick showcased Glenn Powell as a star, The Running Man showcases the leading man capabilities that Glenn Powell has. Glenn Powell not only showcases the charisma, the energy, the screen presence, especially as an action star. Now, while his motivations are relatively basic as to why he's doing this thing, Glenn Powell's performance, and because of his likability, I really don't think I would have been as invested as I was. The second star of this movie is without a doubt Edgar Wright's directing. Edgar Wright just has this way of locking you into a film, whether it's how he shoots a film or whether it's how he adds a film. Edgar Wright just has this way of constantly keeping the momentum going forward, even in sequences where, you know, it's a quieter scene where things breathe out and there's never a dull moment in this movie whatsoever, at least if you ask me. And the film's action was so much fun. The Running Man's action is exciting, it's adrenaline filled, and it's constantly relentless. But not to mention it as well, all the action is beautifully filmed and you can actually see what's going on. One particular aspect that I've been seeing people complain about it, and this is something that I just don't get because I didn't feel this way at all, and that was the film's pacing. I was ever bored one time during this movie. The pacing for me, I thought actually worked really well in this movie.
Well, that's just fucking great!
But unfortunately, and it kills me to say this, The Running Man is Edgar Wright's weakest movie. One of my biggest criticisms with The Running Man is how they address the passage of time in this movie. The Running Man contest is a contest that they address as something that takes place over the course of 30 days. Once they do get to a certain day of this movie, it never felt like that many days had passed. I was talking to a buddy of mine on the way home from the screening. I was saying to him, is it me? Or did it only feel like that a week and a half, maybe close to 2 weeks had passed? It never felt like that at a single time that this many days had passed within this competition. Another particular aspect about this movie that I'm kind of mixed on is the satirical element. Edgar Wright is a master of satirizing a genre that he is going for. There are a couple of times where Edgar is trying to get a message across this movie, and where in his previous films he was more subtle about things, there were quite a few times where it felt like there was a couple of times where he was kind of beating me over the head with pretty heavily, if you ask me. Another aspect that I did not think I'd be criticizing, but I actually found The Running Man to be pretty predictable. There were just so many times throughout this movie, especially how shots are set up and framed, that I immediately knew what was going to happen next. While I was most definitely still locked into these sequences, there were unfortunately quite a few times during some sequences where I actually found them to be, well, very predictable. So overall, while I unfortunately do believe that this is Edgar Wright's weakest film, nonetheless, The Running Man is a great and a kick-ass time at the movies this weekend. All in all, I'm gonna give The Running Man a 4 to 5. While The Running Man isn't one of Edgar Wright's best films, it is still a great time at the theaters, guys. Go check it out this weekend. I hope you all enjoyed my review of The Running Man. If so, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you guys want to see in my previous 2 videos, please click right there or right there. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.